Hawaii, early 1984. We set up a small comm site near Kīlauea, East Rift Zone. Just another field job, ash in the air, ground shaking now and then. Nothing strange at first, but the longer we stayed, the quieter it got. Radios picked up things that weren't there. Footprints showed up when nobody was outside. By the fourth night, we knew something out there was moving like us, but it wasn't us. So before we continue, please make sure to like and subscribe to support the channel and comment down below where you're watching from. Thanks. People think Hawaii is like a beach. Luau's, pineapple, that's the postcard. The part they don't tell you about is the other side. The part that looks like the moon and smells like a car exhaust that never shuts up under your boots. That's where we were. Early 1984, Kīlauea East Rift Zone. National Park jurisdiction, but the Army had a comms package dropped out there to support some joint study crap between USGS and whoever at Division thought this would look good on a report. They called it Outpost 7. It was plywood, canvas, 2 trucks, a generator, a radio mast, and a bunch of guys who already hated each other. I was there. I'm telling you what happened. Lieutenant Hale was in charge. Fresh butter bar. Always clean cut, by the book. Wrote everything in his green log like someone cared. Said it was for record of activity. Sergeant Kīlauea ran the real show. Big island local. Broad shoulders. Quiet, steady. Didn't waste words. You listen when he spoke. We called him the Island. Specialist Ward handled the radios. Skinny. Wired on caffeine. Always tinkering. Slept beside the gear like it was family. Corporal Odell was the loud one. Oklahoma boy. Big grin, bigger mouth. I called everyone buddy, never stopped talking. And me, just another body on the roster, trying to keep up. We put the mast up first day. Telescoping metal. Nothing fancy. Hauled it with guys, not a lift. Wind was low. Ash haze was hanging like bad fog. Fine gray grit sticking to the sweat in the crooks of your arms. Every move made that crunch sound, boots grinding cinder. The sky didn't look blue. It looked thin and old. You could hear the volcano. You always could. That low rumble under everything, not loud. More like being inside a truck with the engine idling under your feet. We ran coax from the mast to the bunker. Bunker wasn't real hardened, more like a dugout half sunk and lined with plywood and sandbags. Tarp roof stretched and waited. You could stand up in the main room. You had to duck in the tunnel. We called it bunker anyway because canvas shack doesn't scare anybody. We calibrated the tower, Ward yelling settings, me tightening clamps, Odell pretending to help, Hale pretending to supervise, Kīlauea actually supervising. Reyes showed up midday. Dr. Lorna Reyes, civilian volcanologist, contract badge. She was maybe late 30s, hair tied back, glasses taped at one corner. She had the look of someone who hadn't slept in 2 days and didn't plan to. She carried seismics like we carried ammo cans. She swore in Spanish, in English, in science words I didn't know. This field is trash, she said first thing. Magnetic drift is already off baseline. Hale nodded like he understood. We'll assist however we can, doctor. Ward leaned over to me and whispered, translation, she's pissed the compass won't sit still. Nothing out here sits still. He wasn't wrong. Ash duty sucked. That's what we called it. Because ash got into everything. Your ears, your mouth, your socks, your weapon, your cigs, your food. You'd blow your nose and it'd come out gray. You'd spit and it'd crunch in your teeth. We had checklist stuff. Standard. Perimeter check first. We put out motion stakes with tripwire clackers. Not heavy security. More just to keep some wandering tourist from walking into our lines and falling into a crack, then suing the Army. Gas sensors next. We had SO2 and CO monitors on little poles. Cheap analog gauges with needles. Ward and I planted them around the site in a rough circle. Those were for us. Sulfur dioxide will kill you quiet. Carbon monoxide will make you stupid first, then kill you. We've been told mass discipline was mandatory if it spiked. We all said Roger. We all hated the masks already. We tested relay. Line of sight to main relay node downrange. Check signal bounce. Check repeat. Radio discipline was good that first day. Comms were clean. Ward was proud. Outpost 7 radio check over. Ward called out. Copy Outpost 7 5x5 came back. Clear. Normal. We logged tremors. Hale made us log everyone even if it was just a little shiver. Most were little. Kīlauea doesn't blow like Mount St. Helens. It leaks. It drools. Sometimes it burps. Minor tremors, Hale said out loud while he wrote it. No visual lava flow. That part was true. You couldn't see any open glow nearby. The active flow front was farther downslope, not in our sector. But you could see reflection of it on the haze sometimes if the wind hit right. Just this dull red smear hanging low where the ground dipped away. Late afternoon, Kīlauea did a slow walk of the perimeter with binoculars. The way he moved made me think of guys I'd known who'd run jungle patrol. He didn't look around. He flowed around. He was part of it. When he came back, he dropped the binos on a crate and said, "Real flat, this land doesn't like people staying too long." Odell snorted. "What, the land gonna fill out a complaint form?" Kīlauea just looked at him. I watched Odell grin and shift, then scratch his neck, then find something else to do. You listen to certain guys. That's just how it is. We were running final checks when Ward frowned hard at the radio rack. "Hey," he said. Nobody answered because that's what he always said right before he went off on some tech rant. Then he said quieter, "No." "Hey, listen," he hit speaker. We heard our own net, but doubled. Echoed. I don't mean feedback. I mean same voice, same words, laid on top of itself like you're playing two tapes almost lined up, but not quite. "This is Outpost 7. Radio check over," came through. That was Ward's voice. Then, not even a full second later, "This is Outpost 7. Radio check over." Same voice again. Ward stared at the board. "That's not recorded. I didn't key up twice." Odell grinned. "Damn, Ward, you're so squared away you're answering yourself now." Everyone chuckled. It hit as a joke at the time. Guys talk to themselves all the time out there. You get weird in the field. Sleep short, food cold, air tastes like battery acid. You talk just to hear something that's not wind. I've heard worse. Ward didn't laugh. He just kept listening. Then he wrote down the exact time in his own little notebook. I remember that because I thought it was overkill. I didn't think that 2 days later, sun went down early behind the haze, way before full dark. Ash kicked up low and stuck in layers on our trucks. The trucks looked frosted, like winter, but it was hot and close. We sat inside the bunker, lantern going, generator humming steady. Hale did his nightly sit rep like he was on staff duty. Conditions stable. Minor tremors. Visibility reduced by particulate. No observed lava flow in visual range. Seismic readings elevated but within projected envelope. He said all that into a tape recorder. He did that every night. He said it calm. You could tell he wanted it to be boring. Reyes was at the folding table with her seismic readouts. She had little portable recorders with paper drum rolls. The needles were scratching these tiny repeating lines. They made this soft ticking sound. She was muttering about magnetic drift and field interference. Said her compasses wouldn't settle. They kept sliding a couple degrees back and forth. "Maybe you're standing on a giant magnet," Odell said. She didn't even look up. "Maybe you're standing on a vent full of gas and you don't know what a vent full of gas does to the human brain at night." That shut him up. Outside, after full dark, we started seeing the red reflect for real, not glow like a bonfire. More like a low smear of brake light along the bottom of the cloud deck. It pulsed slow. You felt it in your jaw. Ground had a deeper rumble under it too. Not big yet, just steady. Like the difference between a truck idling and a truck revving a little. Hale stood outside with his journal and watched it like he was studying for a test. I watched him write, rumble deepening, light red reflect on horizon. Situation normal, normal. We all told ourselves that. We didn't know yet. We thought this was ash duty. We thought we'd be bored. We thought in the worst case we'd get headaches and some paperwork. Yeah, we were wrong. It kicked off pre-dawn. That hour before sunup, where the light isn't up yet but the dark looks thin and gray. Everybody's half asleep. Your body thinks it should be colder than it is. You feel sticky instead. I was on rest rotation on a cot against the bunker wall. My rifle was under my arm like always. I wasn't fully out. You never really sleep out there. You just go dark for a while. I felt the first jolt through the cot frame. It wasn't like normal tremors. Normally it's this rolling shrug under your boots. This one snapped. Sharp, you feel that snap in your teeth. Then the second one hit. That one threw coffee mugs off the folding table and rattled loose gear off the shelves. One of the lanterns swung on its hook and slammed into Hale's shoulder. He cursed, first time I ever heard him curse like he meant it. "Everybody up," Kīlauea barked. "Voice all business. Boots on. Check your buddy." We drilled that. We moved. I grabbed my rifle, grabbed my mask, grabbed my web gear, heart already racing hard. You feel stupid getting spun up over ground shake until you remember where you're sitting. You're sitting on thin rock over a fire. Ward was already at the radios, hand on the panel, eyes wide. "Comms are steady," he said. "I've got signals on all channels. Repeaters are holding. Generators steady. We're good." He sounded like he was saying it for himself. "Gas," Hale snapped. I popped the nearest gas panel and checked. "CO just jumped," I said. "So too is ticking up." I watched the needles. "Sharp climb. Mask discipline," Hale ordered. "Masks on now." We all pulled the masks up. Full seal, clear visor, filter can on the side. They fog fast, they itch, they smell like rubber and your own breath. But you get real humble about your comfort when the gas needles are moving like that. Reyes was crouched over her gear case, stuffing papers back in where they'd spilled. Her hands were shaking a little. Her jaw was clenched. She was talking to herself, real fast, words like localized spike, venting channel, unstable pocket. Outside, ash had thickened. You could hear it on the tarp. Dry hiss, constant like static turned up. Kīlauea moved to the tunnel and popped the exterior hatch just a crack, mask already on, goggles down. He looked out through that slit, scanning. He froze a second. Then he shut it slow. "What?" Hale said. Kīlauea didn't answer right away. He just tightened the latch and said, "Perimeter check." "Let's go." So we did. We split. 2 and 2, Hale with me. Kīlauea with Odell. Ward stayed on radios. Reyes stayed with her sensors. We stepped out into it and visibility was trash. You couldn't see more than maybe 20, 30 meters. Flashlight just bounced off ash in the air. With the mask on, everything sounded like your own breath. The air stank. Sulfur and hot pennies. The ground was throwing little aftershocks. Nothing like the first snap, just constant vibration now. Metal stuff on the trucks was rattling soft. We moved slowly along the line, checking stakes, checking wire, and checking the gas sensors. The gas sensors scared me more than anything because the needles were past where they were last night, and it hadn't even been 10 minutes. Hale kept stopping to write notes. Even then, even now, years later, that pisses me off. When we got to the north side near the old tree line, Kīlauea waved us over with 2 fingers. Not frantic. Controlled, but tight. We jogged over. "What do you got?" Hale asked through the mask. You have to talk loud through those, like you're yelling through a wall. Kīlauea handed Hale the binoculars. "Movement," he said. Hale put the binos up, then lowered them fast and looked at Kīlauea. I couldn't see Hale's face through the mask, but I saw his shoulders tense. "How many?" Hale asked. 4, Kīlauea said. I felt something cold in my gut then. Because 4 were us. 4 was our patrol roster. Me, Hale, Kīlauea, Odell, Ward, and Reyes were inside. That meant if there were 4 outside, and 4 of us were outside, then who the hell was the other 4? I took the binos. You know how sometimes you see something with gear and shape and posture, and your brain just tags it fast, like friendly silhouette or not friendly silhouette. That's training. You don't even think about it. You just feel it in the spine. I saw 4 shapes through gray haze, out past the old fallen ohia trees. Staggered line. Moving slow, scanning. Rifles, low ready. The lead guy was broad in the shoulders, same way Kīlauea stands when he's not thinking about it. I watched. The lead guy lifted his hand and signaled halt. It was even Kīlauea's same lazy half-fist he always did. I'd know that shape anywhere. I'd followed that shape for months. I dropped the binos. "That's cute," Odell said, but his voice sounded wrong. Forced. "Some other unit out here playing games." "There is no other unit," Hale said. We all went real quiet right then. You could hear it clearer now, with everyone shut up. Under the ash hiss, and the low rumble was also radio chatter. Ward's voice, mine, Hale's, Kīlauea's, faint, bleeding in and out, but saying stuff we weren't saying. Outpost 7, perimeter stable, moving to North Stake, I heard, and that was my voice. I hadn't keyed my radio. I hadn't said that. Odell swallowed. You could hear it through his mask mic, that click in his throat. Okay. No. Nah, I didn't say that yet. Yet? I said. He shook his head fast. I mean it all. I didn't say that at all. We moved forward slowly to the tree line. That's when we saw the tracks. Soft ash holds boots real clean. You can see the tread type, size, depth. Hale crouched. He brushed ash off the ground with one glove. There were 2 sets of impressions side by side. Both fresh. Both ours. I mean the same tread pattern, the same make, the same size. One set was mine. The other set was also mine. Same worn heel chip I'd had for months. I joked about it. We'd all joked about me needing new boots. Sergeant, Hale said, voice calm. Too calm. Explain this. Kīlauea said nothing. Sergeant. Kīlauea finally said, Sir, I cannot. Hale stared at the prints. He looked back up at that ash wall where we'd seen the 4 shapes. Then he marked something in his book. His hand shook when he did it. We tightened the perimeter after that. We didn't argue about it. We just did it. We cut radio chatter down to bare bones. Ward kept the main net on listen but stopped sending unless Hale said send. Hale ordered no one outside alone, period. 2-man teams, even a piss. The aftershocks didn't stop. It felt like the ground had tension in it, like a muscle about to cramp. Ash got thicker. Close to fog now. When you breathed through the mask, you tasted rubber and rotten eggs. I remember thinking I could hear whispering under the static. I told myself it was the air bleeding over my mask seal. Inside later, when we got back, Odell sat on his cot and just stared at his radio for a long time. He said, real quiet, I heard me, man. I heard me say stuff. Stuff I ain't done yet. Nobody laughed at him this time. He wasn't joking anymore. Morning wasn't really morning. Light just kind of leaked in. Everything stayed gray. Ashfall was heavy. You could hold your hand out and lose half of it past 50 meters. The trucks looked buried up to the wheel wells. The mast had this crust on the upwind side like icing. We were coughing in the masks. Eyes burning. Everyone had that slow, dull headache you get when the air's bad. Hale and Ward spent first light replaying Ward's logs. Ward had wired in a recorder to catch all outbound and inbound. He'd set it up because he didn't trust higher-ups. Not to say you never sent that, specialist, if something went wrong. Paranoid saved us records. He spooled tape back and let us hear. This is Outpost 7, radio check over, Ward's voice said. Then, less than a second gap. This is Outpost 7, radio check, over, same exact tone. Ward tapped the table. That's doubled, he said. That's not echo. Echo doesn't replicate cadence like that. That's 2 separate sentences. Could be bleeding, Hale said. Ward shook his head hard. Bleeds don't line up like that. Bleed smears. This is tight. This is identical. We're getting our own calls twice. He let the tape run. Same with sit traps. Same with gas calls. Same with patrol calls. Everything we'd said on the net for the past 12 hours had a duplicate, a hair ahead. Same voice. Same words. A beat early. Like the real call was chasing it. I watched Hale while we listened. He looked pale even under ash dust. His left eye twitched when Ward played back Hale's own voice, doubled. Reyes broke in with her numbers. We are at unsafe exposure, she said. No warm-up. Just straight. CO is up. SO2 is up. Is up. Hydrogen sulfide ticked on the strip, but not enough to trip the alarm, but it's there. You should be on masks at all times. I'm not joking. Don't take them off to sleep. You go to sleep without them, you might not wake up or you'll wake up stupid. Odell made a face. Define stupid. Headache. Poor coordination. Auditory hallucination. Visual distortion. Nobody said anything to that. Hale nodded. Copy. Masks stay on. Reyes pushed her glasses up. Also, the magnetic drift is getting worse. The compasses keep sliding. Field direction keeps wandering. Every few minutes, it's off by a few more degrees. I've documented it. What's that mean, Doc? Kīlauea asked. It means something down there is moving, she said. A lot of mass. Fast. Lava? I asked. She shook her head. Not like that. Lava doesn't move like that under this section. This is something else. I don't know. I'm still looking. We all kind of sat with that. Midday, it got worse. We were rotating watch at the wire. Even though Hale said no one goes alone, Odell still kept wandering toward the breach point on the west side like he was trying to stare through the ash. I followed him out there with my rifle up just in case he did something dumb. I thought he just needed air. Joke's on me, there was no air. He stopped by the outer stake and went stock still. He said over the mask mic, Hey, Hale, you might want to see this. You ever hear a guy who's usually loud and mouthy go quiet and polite? That tone hits the back of your neck. I keyed up, actual west side, on me. Hale and Kīlauea came fast. Odell pointed. At 12, he said. Outside the wire. Tell me that's not you, sir. I looked. Through the ash, maybe 20 meters out past the last tripwire stake, I saw a man standing. Just a shape at first. Then clearer when the wind shifted. Same height as Hale. Same shoulders. The same way Hale carried his rifle low but ready. Same stance. 1 foot a little back, weight on the back leg. Hale did that a lot. He had bad knees from ROTC rugby or some officer dame like that. The figure was just standing there, facing slightly away, breathing slowly. Calm. I turned. Hale was beside me. Hale was in front of me. Hale was also 20 meters out in the ash. My stomach dropped. Kīlauea stepped in front of Hale like a human shield. Instinct. Everyone hold, Hale said, voice tight in my ear. No one fires. He keyed his mic. Identify yourself. Outpost 7 actual. Identify yourself now. No answer. The figure didn't move. I looked back over my shoulder. Reyes had come up behind us with her little handheld reader. She was not supposed to be outside mask only, but she came anyway. She aimed the reader at the figure and squinted. Heat signature, she muttered. He's warm. He's as warm as you are. Could be a reflection off the ash, Hale said. It's not a reflection, she said. It's a body. I'm getting a body temp. Who the hell is that? Odell whispered. The figure finally moved. It turned just enough that I could see the uniform chest, same pattern as ours. Same gear hangs. Patch in the same place. Even the same little duct tape square Hale had slapped over a rip on his left shoulder 2 days ago. I couldn't see the face. Ash bale, goggles, mask. The goggles just looked matte. No shine, no detail, no detail. My heart was hammering so hard it hurt under the armor. Hale, I said. We all accounted for it here, right? Yes, Hale said. Then that ain't you, I said. No, Hale said. It is not. We stared. The figure lifted its radio mic to its mouth. Same way Hale did. Same hand motion. Calm, professional. Our radios crackled a half-second later. Outpost 7, west side secure. Hale's voice said in our ears. No movement, all clear. We all jerked. Every single one of us. Even Hale. Hale hadn't said that yet. Kīlauea swore low under his breath. Then the figure turned and started walking the wire. Same slow patrol pace we'd been running. Same route, step for step. Like he'd done it 100 times. He wasn't in a hurry. He moved like he belonged there. We rushed the line. I don't even remember deciding to. We just did. We got to the tripwire stakes and stopped because Hale threw his hand up, and that hand signal means stop, you stop. By then the figure had moved into thicker ash. We lost him in the gray, but we had proof he'd been there. Footprints. Fresh. Still sinking. And warm. I'm not bullshitting you. You could feel heat bleeding up out of the ash where his boots had sunk in. We had little thermal trip sensors tied to fishing line at ankle level. They beep if something hot crosses. They had pinged twice in perfect sync with where he'd stepped. Hale wrote it down in his log back inside. He wrote it like this. I saw the page. Movement confirmed. Visual ID unresolved. Pattern mirrors our roots. He kept it that clean, that cold, but his hand shook. We all started wearing rifles in the bunker after that. No one said that was the rule. It just happened. On day 3, we stopped pretending this was a science support mission. Hale set up a new SOP. 2-man patrols only. No one outside alone, no matter what. Movement only in daylight. At night, full lock. We log everything. We record everything. We stick to the plan. The plan made us feel like we weren't already cracked. Ward kept scanning open channels. He started hearing dual voices on pretty much every send, not just ours. He turned into a ranger net from the park headquarters and got the same thing. Some ranger giving weather conditions, then the same call, half a second ahead of it, same voice. It wasn't just us anymore. He played it for Reyes. Reyes listened and rubbed at her temples and said, "That's not possible." Ward said, "Doc, not possible stopped working yesterday." Reyes' seismic gear got worse. She'd been calling them micro-seismic events, little fast rattles underground. Now she was calling them cycles. "It's rhythmic," she told Hale. "It's not random. Look." She showed him the paper roll where the needle had scratched a line. It wasn't just a static wiggle. It had repeating points. A beat, like something was pulsing under us. "It's not just magma movement," she said. It's like the whole field is being tapped. Over and over. Same interval." "How often?" Hale asked. She checked her notes. "Every 31 seconds. He wrote that down. We started seeing more of the doubles during those pulses. That's what we were calling them by then, doubles. We didn't say copies. We didn't say ghosts. Nobody said ghost out loud. You don't want to be that guy in front of other soldiers. You'd rather say unsecured element and then drink bleach than say ghost. But we all knew what we were thinking. During those 31-second pulses, the doubles came in clearer. You'd be on watch and the hum would build under your boots, that deep push coming up through the rock, and the ash in front of you would kind of thin, and you'd see them just for a breath. Always us, always clean. Uniform spotless, gear aligned perfectly. No ash caked to their sleeves, no grit stuck in the Velcro, no tape on their shoulders, no scratches on their goggles. Like day 1 inspection ready. No faces. Even when they were close. Even with binoculars. Even with night vision, which made me sick. Yeah, night vision made it worse. We tried to watch them with the NV scope on one of the rifles. Ash messes with NV anyway. The glow bounces back, you get that green snow. But you can still make out shapes. Definition. Edges. I watched one of the doubles through NV. I think it was supposed to be me. It had my stance. My way of letting the muzzle dip low when I'm tired. My stupid uneven sling. It turned like it heard something. The faceplate just stayed flat. No depth, no eyes behind the goggles. No reflection, no nothing. Just smooth dark, like somebody forgot to load that part. I pulled the scope off and almost puked in my mask. Kīlauea saw me steady myself against the truck. He didn't say anything. He just put his hand on my shoulder for a second and left it there. That helped more than I'll ever admit. Around noon, Kīlauea popped the flare. We were testing distance. He wanted to see how far ash visibility really was and whether anyone or anything outside our wire would react. He warned Hale. Hale nodded. Kīlauea fired a red flare at a high arc east. The flare went up slowly through the ash, dragging a tail. You could see red bleed through the gray. At the same instant, same angle, same trail, another flare rose on the opposite side of camp, west side. We hadn't fired west. Both burned down together. Both hissed out. Both left little drifting black snow. "Okay," Odell said, voice high and thin. "Nope. Nope. We checked cameras that night. Yeah, we had cameras. Not nice digital stuff like now. Old school film bodies rigged with trip shutters." Ward had set 2 near the perimeter just for records. Hale had him pull the film and process it in a makeshift dark corner in the bunker using a field kit. The whole bunker smelled like chemicals for an hour. We hung the wet strips up and looked at the red light. The photos showed us crossing the perimeter line. 2 full squads. Ours and theirs. We never touched. We never looked at each other. We just crossed like 2 separate patrols occupying the same space. I stared at one frame until I felt dizzy. There I was. Rifle up. Kīlauea on my left. Hale behind us, writing in his book even on film. You could even see the way his shoulders hunch when he writes. Then there we were again, parallel. Same positions, slightly ahead. Kīlauea's head turned just that much more. Hale's pen is already on the page. 2 patrols, same patrol. Ah said. Ward said, real low. What if they're not ahead of us? What if we're behind? Shut up, Odell whispered. Reyes was in the corner by her deer, rubbing at her eyes. She'd stopped yelling by then. She looked tired and scared. That scared me more than numbers. Her theory, what she told Hale, was weak. She knew it. She said maybe it was heat mirage. Light bending in ash haze. Magnetic interference making the radio loop. Rhythmic, microseismic, causing visual echo. Hale wrote all that like it made sense. But I saw his jaw. He didn't buy it either. By that night, sleep was shot. Everyone swore they heard their own footsteps trailing behind them when they walked. You'd walk 6 paces and hear 8. You'd stop and still hear 2 more steps, catching up. Kīlauea said, do not turn around when you hear that. Just keep walking. You understand me? We all nodded. He looked each of us in the eye, one at a time, to make sure. Odell wouldn't meet his eyes. That bothered me, and I didn't know why yet. Day 4 burned us down. The generator started flickering first thing. It would hum, drop, surge back. Lights dimmed and brightened. Radios crackled with static. Ward kept smacking the housing and swearing. You could tell it wasn't electrical. It was the ground messing with us. Every time the deep rumble under our boots hit that 31-second pulse, the generator stuttered. Food was low. We packed field rations for 5 days, planning resupply by Hilo mid-mission. Weather grounded the birds. Ash screws rotors. So we were trading crackers and stale coffee like prisoners. Oxygen inside the bunker felt thin even with masks. You start to feel floaty, like your thoughts are a half-step slow. Your hands shake when you try to button a pouch. Odell stopped going outside. He said he wasn't doing it, not anymore. Screw Hale, screw the mission, he was done. He sat on his cot with his rifle across his lap and his back against the wall right under the one small window slit we cut for ventilation. He stared at that slit like it was going to talk to him. It's out there, he muttered. What's out there? I asked. Me, he said. He didn't laugh after. Ray, I said, quiet. Hey, you're freaking yourself out. He shook his head slowly. Nah, buddy. My other self. He just stands there at night. He stands right outside that slit and he just looks in. Don't move. Don't blink. He just looks like he's waiting for me to come to swap places. The way he said it made my throat go dry. Odell, Hale said, trying to calm the officer's voice. You are experiencing stress response due to gas exposure and confinement. We all are. We'll rotate you to rest. After that, it's not in my head, sir, Odell snapped. It's in the damn window. He never called Hale sir unless he was pissed. None of us wanted to be near that window after that. Radio got creepier. I was sitting there trying to make myself eat cold ration eggs out of a foil pouch when I heard breathing on the net. That's not strange by itself. You hear a hot mic all the time, but this breathing sounded exactly like mine. You don't think you know your own breathing until you hear it. I've heard it in recordings since. I've heard it under stress. I know what I sound like when I'm trying hard not to sound scared. This was that. Slow. In through the nose. Hold. Out slow. Trying to sound normal. It was in my ear, on our own secure net. And I wasn't keyed. I took my hand off the push to talk and held both hands up. Look, not touching it. We all listened. The breathing kept going in my ear. Hale's face behind the mask went tight. Reyes's readings were going off the rails. She had numbers jumping all over. Gas bursts that didn't match normal venting. She said normal is a slow leak. This was like pulses. She showed Hale the graph. Sharp spikes up, crash down, spike again. It lined up with the 31-second cycle. It's like something is pushing, she said. Like something under us is pushing gas out in little punches. That's not normal. That's not how this field vents. What does that mean? Hale asked. It means this ground is about to open, she said. Right after she said that, the tunnel partially collapsed. We heard this crack, sharp. Then we heard sandbags slam down and ash poured through the entry tunnel like a gray waterfall. It filled the supply room and buried half of our water jugs. It covered the floor ankle deep and rolled this wave of sulfur stink and so heavy we all gagged inside our masks. Ward panicked then. Full freak. He jumped for his tapes and gear, grabbing whatever he could off shelves and shoving it in ammo cans so it wouldn't get buried. The look in his eyes wasn't rational. It was that tight animal look of someone who's hanging on by their fingernails. We dug out the tunnel with e-tools in hands until our arms shook. Kīlauea led that. He moved like a machine, controlled, focused. He kept telling us to take short breaths. Don't overwork. Don't dump all your air at once. We cleared just enough to keep the tunnel open. But now that whole side of the bunker leaned. You could hear sandbags sliding slowly. You could hear ash sifting through seams. The bunker felt smaller by half. Inside that mess, Ward was still recording. He had a tape loop playing over and over. It was his own voice, giving orders he never gave. Outpost 7, shift to red posture, initiate lock, report by squad, his voice said. Calm, command voice. Not how Ward talks. Ward doesn't talk like that. Ward whines and snaps and complains. He doesn't do calm command. But the voice on the tape did. He just kept playing it, over and over, staring at nothing. Like if he played it enough, it would make sense. Like if he played it enough, it would line up with reality. Kīlauea started hearing Hale too. This part I didn't believe at first. Then I did. We were stacking cases against the busted section of tunnel wall to brace it, and Hale was right there beside us, mask on, sleeves rolled up, filthy. I could smell the rubber stink of his mask filter right next to me. Then Kīlauea froze. His head snapped toward the tunnel mouth. "Lieutenant," he hissed. "What?" Hale said, right next to him. Kīlauea stared down the tunnel. "You just told me to push left flank. You're standing right here and you just told me to push the left flank outside. Where else you want me, sir?" "You want me in two places." Hale went still in a way I'll never forget, like a freeze frame in a movie. "Sergeant," he said, calm but low. "I am not outside." Kīlauea swallowed. He nodded once, real slow. "Copy." No one cracked a joke. All the jokes were gone by then. That night, Hale wrote in his journal. I watched him. He'd smashed his dominant hand earlier bracing a falling case, so his fingers were swollen and stiff. He had to switch and write with his offhand. It looked ugly, shaky, crooked letters. He wrote, "We might not be alone in our own time anymore." I saw it. I remember every word. I don't think he meant aliens. I don't think he meant ghosts. I think he meant we weren't lined up with ourselves anymore. I think he meant something under that ash had slipped. Night 5 was the worst night of my life. The generator died at last light. Full stop. I tried to kick. Failed. Ward and Kīlauea both tried to prime it, swap filters, bleed lime, everything. Nothing. That hum that had been in the background since day one just went away. The silence felt huge. We were on lanterns and flares after that. Lantern light makes the bunker feel smaller, makes everyone's eyes look sunken. You see sweat shine on the rubber edges of masks. You hear breathing. You hear little gasps people don't mean to let out. Outside, ash was still hissing steadily. The wind had dropped, so it just hung. The air felt thick and damp and wrong. Then the perimeter alarms started. We'd rigged these cheap motion alarms with tripwire, chem lights, and fishing line. Field hack. You tie the line low, knee height. Something walks through, pulls the pin, light pops, little beeper goes off. They started going. One, then another, then all of them. We heard beepers squealing from every side of the camp. It was like being surrounded by dying birds. Ward scrambled to the monitor board he'd set up for the perimeter mics and external cameras. We'd been lucky those were battery-backed. He flicked through them, one by one, hands shaking. "Hale," he said. "Sir, you need to see this." We all crowded around that little grainy black and white screen. Lantern light behind us. You could smell everybody. Fear, sweat, and sulfur and rubber. The monitors were trash quality. Static lines, washed out from ash. But you could still make out movement, a lot of movement. 5 figures circling the compound, not 4 now. 5. That meant including Reyes or Ward or me or Odell, all of us, everyone. They moved in identical patterns to our patrol routes, step for step. They were just a hair ahead of where we'd been on the last patrol log Ward had marked. Like they were walking our script one beat early. Motion in all quadrants, Ward whispered. All quadrants. They're everywhere. Hale didn't even try to send anyone out this time. He snapped, "Lock it. Everyone inside. Now." We slammed the tunnel hatch. We dragged cases against it. We wedged tool bags and ammo cans and water jugs. We made a wall. Outside, the motion alarms still beeped and beeped. The external cameras kept running. The doubles kept circling. Calm, steady, never rushing the hatch, never testing the wire. Just walking the line like good soldiers. The radio lit up on its own. Outpost 7 perimeter secure, it said. It was my voice first. Then again, Outpost 7 perimeter secure. Hale's voice. Then again, Outpost 7 perimeter secure. Kīlauea's voice. Then Reyes. Then Ward. Then Odell. Over and over. All of us. In rotation. No break. Same phrase. Calm. Professional. Like we were pulling guard in basic. We all just stood there and listened to ourselves on the net saying the same line, like some broken loop prayer. Odell snapped first. He ripped off his mask and grabbed his rifle and went for the hatch. Kīlauea moved to block him fast. "Ray, stand down." "No," Odell yelled. His face was red, eyes wild, hair plastered to his forehead with ash sweat. "He's out there wearing my face." "He doesn't get to wear my face." "Ray," Hale barked, "stand down." "That's an order." Odell shook his head like a kid. "No, sir. No, sir. He doesn't get to wear my face." He shoved the cases. He was stronger than I thought. Adrenaline makes you stupid strong. He forced a gap and squeezed through before any of us could grab him. "Ray," I yelled. Kīlauea went right after him. No hesitation. He just threw himself through the gap with his body cam still clipped to his chest rig. Hale swore and slammed the hatch back shut. He and I and Ward and Reyes piled cases against it again. The whole bunker felt like it was breathing fast. We were all shouting over each other, trying to call out to them on the radio, but the net was just that loop. Outpost 7 perimeter secure. Over and over. Our own voices talking over us. Ward managed to punch into Kīlauea's body cam feed. He had rigged it to a handheld for after-action review. He was shaking so bad he almost dropped it. He got it up on the little monitor. We watched. The feed was ugly, grainy and jerking all over because Kīlauea was running in low ash with a rifle. Every step made the screen shudder. You could hear both his breath and Odell's breath, both loud and panicked. Then the cam steadied. Kīlauea had stopped just outside the wire. The ash swirl looked like a gray wall. You could hear that deep underground pulse in the mic. That 31-second thump. It made the audio buzz. "Ray," Kīlauea hissed. "Ray, back to me. Back inside. Now." Odell's voice was high and ragged. "There. Right there. You see that? You see that right now?" The cam swung. Through the ash, two shapes. Close. 10 feet maybe. Two Odells, both in our fatigues. Both with the same rifle hang. Both shoulders slumped in that same cocky way he always stood when he was trying to act relaxed after getting yelled at. You could see the same stupid band of duct tape he kept on his foregrip so he could tell his rifle from mine. Same exact tape. Same little wrinkle in it. They were facing each other. Neither was talking. Neither was moving. They were just slowly closing distance, like walking into each other, like mirrors sliding together. "Ray," Kīlauea barked. "Ray, step back. That's not you. Step back now." One of the Odells tilted his head. Slow. The other one tilted his head the exact same way at the exact same time. "Ray," Kīlauea yelled. "On me, now." The ground pulse hit then. Hard. You could see the cam jump like someone kicked it. The audio went static. You could hear this grinding roar under everything, like the whole island was groaning. Then the feed cut. Ward slapped the side of the monitor. "No, no, 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 no." Static. I realized I was shaking. Hale stood there in the lantern light staring at the dead feed, not moving, fists clenched so tight his knuckles were white even under ash. His reflection in the glass of the lantern globe was wrong. I saw it. I swear to God I saw it. His reflection moved before he did. His shoulders in the glass shifted like he was turning, but in real life he was still. Then he turned a half-beat later and the reflection lined up again. "Hale," I whispered. He didn't look at me. He just kept staring at the hatch like he could will it and give us our guys back. Outside, boots walked the perimeter. You could hear them through the wall. Crunch, 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 crunch. Perfect even steps. 2 sets sometimes. 3, sometimes more. Sometimes the steps would double up like someone was marching in time with himself. I sat down hard on an ammo can because my knees quit. Reyes was crying silently behind her mask. Not loud, just tears running down gray skin, cutting clean tracks through ash dust. The radio loop kept going. Outpost 7 perimeter secure. We didn't sleep. We just waited for daylight that felt like it wasn't going to come. Daylight came anyway, pale and sick. We were wrecked. The bunker had half collapsed on the west side in the night. We'd heard shifting and groaning, and then part of the wall just slumped in and buried Ward's spare battery cases and half of Reyes' sample kit. We dug her stuff out with our hands because she went feral when one of the cases got pinned. She was screaming, "Don't touch that, don't touch that," like we were going to break the island. By then, the air in there felt like trying to breathe through a wet towel. Even with masks, I felt stupid. Slow. Floaty. My fingers were tingling. My tongue felt numb. Sometime mid-morning we heard rotors. Hale was first to react. He snapped up straight like someone had plugged him back in. "Birds," he gasped. "Birds up!" Birds up. That's extraction. Pop smoke. Pop smoke now. We tore the hatch open. Ash poured in again. We pushed out anyway because staying in there wasn't an option anymore. Outside it looked like hell. Ash drifts up past our shins. Trucks half buried. Mast leaning like a busted antenna on a toy. The sky wasn't sky. Just low gray you could almost touch. The red smear on the horizon had faded in daylight, but the ground still pulsed under us, slow and mean. We stumbled out waving panels and popping colored smoke even though the air barely let it spread. 2 Hueys came in out of the haze from the Hilo side, low and wobbly. Ash kicked off their rotors and sheets. You could tell the pilots hated being there. You could feel the urgency in the way they hovered. They did not want to land. They wanted us on board 5 minutes ago. Crew chiefs were yelling and waving us in. "Move," Hale shouted. He grabbed Reyes by the arm and shoved her forward. "Move now. Ward, you're up. Go, go." Ward was barely walking. Pale gray face, eyes glassy. He still had an ammo can full of tapes clutched to his chest like a baby. He would not drop it. Not even to climb. Crew chief had to haul him in by his belt. Reyes got dragged in next, still shouting something about field evidence and magnetic anomaly. Nobody cared. Hale basically threw her into the bird. I turned to look for Kīlauea and Odell, even though I already knew they weren't there. Their tracks led out past the wire into that flat ash field. 2 sets of prints. Then more prints. Then a turned patch where it all tangled. Then nothing, just smooth ash like a fresh sheet. "Hale," I choked. "We can't leave them." Hale looked at me. I'll never forget his eyes. Red. Raw. Wet at the edges. He looked like someone holding a door shut with both hands, while fire licks under it. "We are leaving," he said. Voice shredded. "That is an order. Get on the bird." I froze. He grabbed my vest with his offhand and dragged me like I weighed nothing. "That is an order," he yelled in my face. "Do not make me leave you too." Something in me broke then. I climbed. They hauled us in, and the crew chief slapped Hale's helmet twice and pointed up, the universal sign for "get the hell out." The Huey lurched. We lifted. From the air, looking down through the open door, Outpost 7 looked small, like a toy camp half melted. You could see the bunker roof sagged in. You could see ash drifts swallowing the trucks. You could see our tracks in circles around the wire. You could also see other tracks. Perfect circles, perfect patterns, like a guard path walked over and over and over. I swear I saw movement at the edge of the ash field. 4 figures. No, 5, all in our kit. All heads tilted up, watching us lift out. I couldn't see faces. Just goggles. Just masks. Just us. My throat closed. The bird banked and we lost sight. I don't remember landing at Hilo. I barely remember the ride to Schofield on Oahu. I remember flashes, medics in masks, hands on me, needles, people talking like I wasn't there. They said we all had acute carbon monoxide exposure, carbon dioxide exposure, sulfur dioxide, all the oxides. They said our blood oxygen was low. They said our blood acidity was off. They said hallucinations are common. They used that word a lot. Hallucinations. They called it sensory trauma, confinement stress, environmental toxicity. They said we saw things and heard things because our brains weren't getting clean air. They wrote that down. Hale, Reyes, and Ward survived extraction, alive but wrecked. Kīlauea and Odell were marked missing, presumed lost in collapse. That's the file term, lost in collapse. They never said not recovered. They said lost, like they just slipped. After they stabilized us, some intel guys or whatever they were came in and took Ward's tapes. Ward tried to fight them. They sedated him. I saw some of those tapes later. Not supposed to, but I saw. They showed synchronized patrols by unidentified figures. Their words, not mine. Synchronized patrols. Multiple individuals moving in perfect lock with observed personnel. Perfect match in gear, build, gait. One analyst note said, at timestamp, all observed subjects execute salute simultaneously, then vanish into particulate obscuration. Vanish. That's what it said. Command stamped the report. Kasi psychological effects, psychological, FX environmental toxicity. Case closed. Then they classified it. Outpost 7 inside and restricted, need to know. We were told not to talk about it. We still did. Weeks later, they brought us in one by one. Reyes went first. Schofield Barracks, small room. No windows. She looked wrecked, pale, hair stuck to her face. Glasses taped back together, hands shaking. She had all her notes with her. Gas spikes, compass drift, seismic pulse cycles. She wrote it all clean. Timestamps, numbers. She'd even drawn that repeating wave pattern. 31 seconds, same beat, over and over. They told her it was all classified under atmospheric distortion study. That was the phrase. Atmospheric distortion. She laughed in their faces, not because it was funny, because she knew they weren't going to listen. Then they made her sign paperwork saying she wouldn't talk about it. Then they called Hale. He was already on medical leave. They said it wasn't punishment. They called it fitness eval, which is how they say you might be done. His right arm was in a sling, not broken, just wrong. His hand wouldn't answer his brain right. He said it felt like the timing was off. Said it felt like the hand wasn't his hand anymore, like it belonged to someone standing a second ahead of him. He started writing with his left. I saw his notebook. The handwriting looked bad, but he was still forcing it out, page after page. He kept circling one line. We are not lined up. Ward was last. He wouldn't sleep in a normal room. He asked to crash in the comms cage because it had radios. He said he had to keep watch on the net. They let him keep a handheld clipped to his shirt just to calm him down. He told me, real quiet, what was really going on. I still hear it, he said. Hear what? I asked. Our perimeter call, he whispered, eyes shaking. Outpost 7 perimeter secure. I hear it in the hospital speakers. I hear it in the pipes. I hear us. You, me, Hale, Sarge, all of us, still walking the line. Then he started crying. First time I'd ever seen him do that. They moved fast after that. The Corps of Engineers went out with security. They poured concrete over Outpost 7. The whole thing. Bunker, perimeter, gear, all of it. Sealed. Official reason, unsafe ground, venting risk. Public safety. The park closed in that area. Nothing to see. That's what they told the Rangers. That's what they told us. No further activity observed. That exact line, locals said differently. Guys from the park and guys from downslope said don't go near that spot after hard rain. Said sometimes you can still see helmet glints out there in the ash bed. 4 shapes, sometimes 5, walking in a slow circle where the wire used to be. Said once in a while you can hear radios, not Ranger radios, ours. Old Army traffic, short, clipped, perimeter codes. Here's what I think. I don't think Outpost 7 ever really shut down. I think Kīlauea and Odell never came back because they never left. I think they're still on that line, still doing rounds, 1 second ahead of us, out of reach. I think we bumped into them for a few days. Then whatever slipped back. So that's the end of our video. If you made it this far, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it's free. And if you want more terrifying encounters like this one, check out the other videos on screen right now. Thanks for watching and stay safe out there. See you soon.